Hello, people. It's me again. Today I'm going to use a slightly different format. I'm actually recording this from a computer, but it's an article that I found that has to do with what we've been talking about all this time. In this case, the understudied female S predator. Uh, it is a continuation of an article from the Atlantic. You can see right there the entire link to the website. This is not an article from 2016, so it was 8 years ago. And we all know things have just gotten worse. It has, in 8 years, things have gotten much, much worse. When it comes to this article, I put it in Word. You can actually look it up at that website. You'll see the entire article. I reduced it to 3 pages. It's a little too long for me. But again, you can look it up yourselves. As you can see the entire link, or just type in Google that title and then it'll find it for you. You don't have to type this entire link. The point is, once again, this is something that is understudied, and that's the concern that I have here. I've become a little obsessed with it. Hopefully it'll just flush through my system and I'll just stop talking about the subject. But for now, while it's still in me, I will. And it's an article that a reporter named Connor, I can't recall his first name, but the article will have it, talks about how the behavior of females of this nature has been understudied, which is it's obviously convenient for the feminists of the world, for the Me Too people. It's very convenient for human resources because, again, I truly believe that we can do better as a society, and especially at the workplace where men are getting hit the hardest. But the experts uh, at the workplace, whoever they may be, they're not aware that when women do bad things, or the female behavior of bad things of this nature, as the article states, and there's more articles about this. We can all keep looking and looking and looking, and we will see that it's a very ignored behavior from women. And we're going to see a few points on this. It's been ignored by society, experts, etc. I'm just going to read through again. These are not the complete paragraphs. These are pieces of the paragraph. I don't want people to say that I'm taking it out of context. Read the whole article, and you will see, in essence, because the essence of it, of my point is, women do bad things too of this nature. That's my point. Period. Women are also bad, just like men can be bad, just like other groups can be bad. That's my point. But let's go through a little bit of this. This is coming from a reader's perspective of the article, and in this case, it's a female. And she mentions, I am incredibly grateful to see research and coverage of this undiscussed epidemic. See how she puts it? An epidemic. And when you read other articles, you will see why it is an epidemic, but it's, again, undiscussed. I was trafficked as a child, excuse my broken down English, and about a third of my uh, I'm gonna use the word grape, the fruit grapist, since YouTube gets a little sensitive on the issue. So I'll mispronounce it. A third of my grapists were women. Again, women do bad things too. I cringe when I hear most people talk about grape culture, because the mere existence of female perpetrators and male grape victims is so rarely considered. See, this is the reason why I put it in Word, because I also wanted to put the underline for emphasis. Again, rarely considered when female perpetrators do bad things to men. She continues, I am far more concerned with the gap in research and services for this demographic than whether or not I am catcalled. So to her, it's a bigger concern. Again, the lack or the gap, in her words, of research for men than for a guy just to say, "Hey, hey, baby, you look pretty today." Again, yes, maybe that is evil today to try to, I don't know, find a woman or find a wife or whatever. She continues, I feel so alienated by the feminist movement because so many feminists are very dismissive. See the point there? Very dismissive. That's my personal experience, actually, at Human Resources at U.S. District Court of Puerto Rico and Probation. They were very dismissive, and you might have to even add the judge there, hoping that he was debriefed by HR of the entire story, because maybe the judge was told bits and pieces, convenient bits and pieces, because that's their nature to be dismissive, in when it comes to these so-called experts. So again, it is a sad reality for men. Very dismissive of my attempt to even discuss the existence of female perpetrators because it is so against the stereotypical image of what a uh, rapist looks like. Because again, stereotypically, a rapist is a guy, a mean-looking guy, and maybe even certain nationalities or races might be added to it. Excuse my voice. It is true that not all men are rapists, just as it is true that not all women are rapists, just as not all humans are horribly predatory. But we all know the reality, people. That the term predatory in the human race is attributed primarily, if not all, to men. And it continues, it is tragic to comprehend the lack of services and sympathy that are available to male rape victims. No sympathy at all. Perpetrated by this stigma that men aren't raped and women don't rape. You see, the stigma that apparently women don't do bad things. Again, I know this is an extreme of hanky panky violence, but this is a tell. This again shows that women can also behave wrongly. I'm not saying that this is what happens in most workplaces, but if they're capable of the grape activity, they're capable of less, still bad. Again, still bad and inappropriate activity. It doesn't have to reach this level of grape to be bad. Just and that applies to a guy as well. And she continues. Female rape victims already face such obstacles in reporting, but almost all of the male rape victims I know face complete incredulity from the police when they reported. Again, it's ingrained, I guess, in societies. So even male police officers might probably just not believe the guy, maybe even laugh at him. Now, this is another part of another person that also um, commented or added to the discussion having to do with this article. And she said, yeah, another female, when I saw Connor's article on as assault, I'm not going to pronounce words completely because of YouTube tends to block them, perpetrated by women, again, as assault perpetrated by women, I was thrilled. This is, as is stated in the title, a vastly understudied part of experience that needs to be discussed more widely. She continues, I think, though, that the headline for readers' submissions changed between last night and today. The series was temporarily titled Stories of Women Raping Men. So, for some reason, I guess the title changed. For reasons explained below. Or, if not, I know the chosen subject matter didn't match the broader headline. A discussion of the understudied female as predator turned suddenly into exclusively a discussion of men being raped. So again, the article started out with a specific direction, but it changed to something more exclusive to a man getting hurt in in some other format. Which again, when you read the article, you will see it. Again, my point is, women are not angels. This ignores one major point that Connor makes, and I'll continue what she's saying. It says the report's authors argue that female perpetration is downplayed. I've seen it again in my former federal job, U.S. District Court of Puerto Rico. I've seen it myself. The female perpetration is downplayed among professionals in the mental health, in mental health, social work, public health, and law, with harmful results for male and female victims, in part due to these stereotypical understandings of women as hanky panky, harmless. Again, they are not harmless. These women are not harmless. A lot of women are not harmless. They are harmful. Even as ongoing heterosexism can render lesbian and bisexual victims of female, again, perpetrated as victimization. And it mentions here, invisible to professionals. So women, again, as we can see here, their bad behavior has been downplayed of the hanky-panky nature. And guess what? Downplayed by who? Professionals in mental health, social work, which can probably fall for human resources, or fall under the umbrella, public health and law. Well, maybe law when it comes to human resources, because that's what they're supposed to follow and uphold. And again, with harmful results for both men and women. And she explains later, because she herself is, even though she's a woman, she's a lesbian, and she did not like when certain women, again, were aggressively hanky-panky, with her. But again, this problem becomes, and here's again one big point, it becomes invisible. Again, it becomes invisible to professionals. So if Judge Arias is listening, or if Agnes or Yarisis, you're listening, you're professionals, and to you guys, this female misbehavior that has been downplayed by society and yourselves, well, that bad conduct has been invisible to your eyes, because you've been indoctrinated. You guys have been indoctrinated to think that women's hanky-panky is harmless. You guys think it's harmless. You think that, again, all these women are angels, and that's not the case. That's my experience. She continues, if female victims in these cases are invisible to the people who are trained to recognize and help them, again, HR, if these bad people are invisible, if these females create victims, and yet the female bad behavior is invisible to trained individuals to recognize and help them, isn't it imperative that a dialogue around this topic acknowledge these experiences? Because again, like I've been saying in other videos, the one with the pee is bad, the one with the cookie is harmless, like the article said, like she's mentioning on this article. And it finally continues, says, the article also states, tellingly, because it is telling, researchers have found that victims who experience childhood S abuse at the hands of both women and men, are more reluctant to disclose the victimization perpetrated by, boom, women. So again, this is an older article from 1993. So you can say that was what, 30 years ago? Things are worst. Things are worst, especially after Me Too, and the growing of feminism, and the future is female, and everything is woman nowadays. So if in 93 that was a concern, that people were reluctant, to disclose the victimization perpetrated by women, today it is much worse. And I know it by my own flesh and blood experience. And it mentions again, this is telling. Is it not important? Once we've acknowledged that in the case of child, minors, as abuse by women tends to go unreported, again, unreported, is there no moral obligation to demarginalize the victims of these crimes? Again, the article also mentioned, uh, women misbehaving with children. Uh, if it doesn't flow that well, remember, I'm taking pieces from the article. You guys can go read it, the whole article yourselves. The point is, these women are not angels. I mean, period, period. Even with minors, they've been very bad. And I mentioned it before because there's many articles online of how school teachers, there's also an epidemic. School teachers doing bad things with teenage boys. Again, they, does this mean then that, for example, if these issues are a problem and they become epidemics, what are the chances of U.S. District Court and probation hiring some of these, people by accident? It's very high for both men and women and the gay community, to be honest. I mean, let's be inclusive here. Let's be inclusive. Let's be fair. And this is where she mentions, I've had numerous experiences as an adult with unwanted advances from women. And I'm a queer woman myself, a woman myself. I know I'm not alone, but I know that by my own research. So this person has done their own research. And again, unwanted advances from women. They're not angels, HR, whatever HR is listening. Any HR member of any company, of any entity, they're not angels. Maybe you guys should become more aware of this. And me too. Read these articles. Me too. Include studies for this misbehavior of women. Before you start defending perverted women, before you start defending something, you should understand it first. Really. Before you defend something, understand it. Understand its nature, and so forth. And it mentions, it continues to address this issue is to answer the study author's conclusion as Connor states it. In a better world, those charged with responding to S victimization would be both gender inclusive. Hey, a word that we like to use a lot today. But again, we don't. That's why I believe there's a lot of hypocrisy in many HR departments when they do trainings, but there's no real gender inclusivity when it comes to those trainings, when it comes to this subject. Men are always the bad, girls are always innocent. And it continues addressing all victims and perpetrators, regardless of sex and gender and gender sensitive, understanding how prevailing norms influence women and men in disproportionate or different ways. Because again, we're different. Men and women are different. It's disproportionate, and at the same time, the behavior may be different. But it's still bad behavior. And again, women are being downplayed when it comes to their bad behavior, it's being downplayed. So where is this inclusiveness in the dialogue? And it says, you've begun. But again, I think that's the end of it. That's the end, at least, of what I copied from that article. And like I mentioned before, where's the inclusivity for men? And, look what the article mentions. In the dialogue, there's no inclusivity when it comes to this subject for all, especially for men. So again, many times that I participated with human resources, it was just not me, the whole group, in whatever courtroom, we had orientations or trainings which were mandatory, and they talked about assault or harassment of any type. Where was the inclusivity there? There really wasn't, because I always felt like a bad guy, and many guys there also felt bad, and of course all the women were smiling, and they always, yeah, me, yeah, us, yeah, this, yeah, that, but no, you're a bunch of hypocrites, You're a bunch of hypocrites. HR, you're a bunch of hypocrites. Me too. Again, maybe it started out with good intentions, and I do believe in protecting women, but women are as bad. So when I say that somebody behind courtroom two did something bad to me, that was downplayed, that was ignored. What was the word again? It was ignored. It was. Let me see. I can't remember. I can't. Well, the point is again, a lot of downplaying. Dismissive was the word, but I can't. I can't find it. It was dismissed. It was dismissed. Even what I mentioned to Anton Georgi and Agnes when we were, in her office actually, when it came to this um, Veronica, Princess Veronica. Oops, I hope I didn't offend her by calling her princess. The point is, they downplayed it. They dismissed, it was very dismissive, the attitude of Agnes and Anton Georgi. Because men have to be evil. Because again, the stereotypical image of people that do bad things is a man. Very dismissive. Again, that's in the article. You can follow it there and read it and read it yourselves. The point is, once again, we can't be playing these stupid games, these stupid Me Too games, because it's come to the level of being a ridiculous movement, where the guy's bad because that's again stereotypically understood, but women are always innocent, and that's not true. Not true at all. And they know it. They know it, but they, in their hypocrisy, have to play the game of, well, according to this, you know, that. No, no. This is very understudied. The female bad predatory behavior. Many people, many experts have no clue when women do things, because they're not, again, when I say they're incompetent, when I say HR is incompetent, because they don't have the training. They don't have the proper training. Well, they can't have the proper training if it hasn't been studied. Because believe me, and I'll later, on some other occasion, create another video, and I can, again, explain, well, I mean, I've done plenty of it, of how women are predatory. And how, again, they do the same things men do, but it's different. Like the article even mentioned at the end. It's different. A guy, is going to be more direct in his bad behavior because, we men, yeah, we do bad things, no doubt, in the hanky-panky spectrum. But women do it too, but they do it differently. Again, they do it differently. In a different, like it's highlighted there, in different ways, women are predatory than men. But it's still predatory, and it's still inappropriate, and it's still hanky-panky. Again, I don't want to use the word because YouTube gets triggered. So again, for anybody in HR, read this article and articles similar to this. Do a research. And of course, this is something that should come up from higher places. I don't know where in the federal government they come up with all these, ever evolving new ways to create so-called victims, but only for specific groups. But no, let's be inclusive for men, like the article mentions here. Let's include how men are also being assaulted and harassed and provoked, because we are. Because we are. I know that all those years I mentioned this to Evelyn, I was dismissed. And, the few times I sat with Agnes, when it comes to Veronica, dismissed. Why? Because, like the article says, the article is very clear. It's understudied. They tend to be dismissed. We tend to be ignored. We tend to be downplayed, because when you see a crying face in front of HR, those innocent tears, that's not the face of a person doing something bad. See, men don't cry. Men. I mean, we cry when somebody, in a family passed away, but men don't go to HR with tears, pretending that they did not do anything, pretending that they did not provoke, pretending that they did not bend over, inches off, showing their tushy, pretending they don't wink and they don't hiss, and pretending they don't do a lot of things, which probably in another video I'll break down, without names, just in general. But maybe we do need to start crying. Maybe we need to go quickly running to HR and play the part, do a good Hollywood role, and maybe that way we'll convince human resources. Because again, human resources are primarily women, so of course they're gonna drive the investigation based on emotion, based on tears, based on the sweet words that a perverted female, like the article clearly states, could have initiated, but it gets dismissed and downplayed. Unfortunately, again, it's an understudied situation. Now, this article is not that old. I know that there was another one from 16. So it's like 8 years old. Things are worse today. Things are worse. So again, keep that in mind. I don't want this video to be too long. That's why, again, I chopped up the article a bit, and it's still almost half an hour. But that's to show you guys and HR that you guys are doing a horrible job. You guys are a failure, particularly because those above you are also failures. And as it mentions here, it's downplayed among professionals, mental health. And that's another thing. There's a lot of females with mental health, more than men. 1 out of 4 women are on antidepressants, according to the CDC. There's a lot of women in most workplaces. So you can bet that out of 4 women, out of let's say 100 employees, how many of them are on antidepressants? So their mood swings are chaotic, and their perceptions are also chaotic. But hey, you professionals don't see these things either. Again, there's a reason why the article mentions mental health as well. And I can go on and on and on, but again, I don't want this video to be too long. So again, you guys do your own research, and you believe what you want to believe. But that's what I'm seeing, that it's a sad reality that these so-called professionals at HR don't see. So of course, if something is downplayed or understudied, the conclusion is always going to point towards one direction, disproportionately, which is misogynist, in my opinion. Have a good one.